I was trying to capture the natural reaction that we just had, and then I failed. I failed miserably at capturing the natural reaction. Do you have any other prep work that you want to do before you just start this, or should we just go?
Nah, I think we should just go.
Thanks for the handoff, Uncle Dan.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Victoria.
Thanks so much, Rebecca.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Pierre.
Why, thank you, Dr. Hahn.
Thanks, EK.
It's best to just do it, and you'll figure it out along the way. I mean, that's how I grew all of my platforms. Like I still got a lot of work to do, but I mean, I'm so much better than I was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. For people who don't know, EK and I talk quite frequently, and I'm often like, "Oh no, I have to make a perfect video before I ever share anything," and you're always like, "Dude, chill, chill, put it out there."
Just share it. I mean, if you make a huge mistake, you can always take it down. Somebody will record it and be like, "Oh, look what you said," but you can be like, "Yeah, I took it down. Actually, I re-edited. I put this back up." Like, I'm sorry, like all that. But like, it's better to have something out there than to never get your stuff out there.
There's a start. We sound like crooked media, but also like, w- so for context, today I want to get to know EK Powell, aka What's Good English. This is the launch episode of the Community Book Report podcast. Many of you will have seen our Community Book Report content before. It's where a whole lot of TikTok influencers get together to just share what we're reading and all sort of talk about specific books. We've covered The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee. We've covered For the Love of Men by Liz Plank, Mickey Kendall's book Hood Feminism. But one of the problems with that is that we always end up just with like 60 seconds of content, and we end up having a whole lot more to say about a whole lot more stuff. So it was your idea. I don't want to take credit for this in public. You decided that we should start a podcast. And here we are trying to get more of that information back out to you. So I today I'm going to be asking some questions about What's Good English, about EK, how he got to where he is. I don't have your follower count memorized right now. You're at like 100,000 something. 100.
Yeah, so on the TikTokies, I've got 135.8. Like it finally moved up from like point 0.5 and point 0.6 for like ever to point 0.8 like last week or something like that. Like I don't know why I can't. But like TikTok's not showing my videos. That's like that's like a talk shop question like for later. But yeah, got a bunch of folks there on TikTok. I got another 10,000 on Instagram, and I got like close to 5,000. I got like 4,700 on my YouTube channel, What's Good English, which is where everything started.
Okay.
So yeah.
So would you say, like, what got you into the content making game? Was it like a decision that you were like, I want to do content, and so I'm going to start on TikTok, or were you just like randomly posting and you realized you liked it? Like, how'd you get into this?
So like I always wanted to have a YouTube channel, and like make content. I mean, I also majored in mass communications and did a lot of stuff with video production and advertising. So like I've always wanted to like do stuff like this in this realm. But like for the longest time, I never like had anything that I cared enough about to want to make like a lot of videos about. And it actually started after a trip to Europe that I took with a friend of mine, where because like I've always loved learning languages, so I started learning Spanish. I intended to like learn a little bit of every language from all the countries that we were going to go to. But it ended up just I can't talk now. It ended up just being Spanish, and that like really introduced me to like the YouTube language learning community. And I kind of wanted at the end of like my whole learning journey to give back to the community, talk about English, some of the oddities and stuff like that that you can find, talk about African American English, and like help make us a little bit more understandable to to foreigners, because like I would hear, quite often it's like, oh, black people are a
Oh,
little bit hard
interesting.
to understand, stuff like that. So that's sort of where the idea of, hey, like I could actually do this thing. I like this enough that I can make like, lots of videos about it, as well as like add my own, a little bit of flavor to it. There were a couple channels that really inspired me. One of them was Linguriosa. She's a Spanish YouTuber that makes videos about like the curiosities of like the Spanish language, but she's got like her own like fun little flavor to it. And like I was watching her videos and I was like, that's what I want to do. Like this concept of what I had in my head that I'd been thinking about for months, like watching somebody do that, in Spanish. I was like, huh, I can do that. um,
Hmm.
so like she was kind of like a push to get me doing that. Another channel that I really loved was this other guy, Bilingue Blogs. This dude would talk
Okay.
about like different accents. It's like, Spanish is a super varied language.
Right.
I mean, just like English is, all these different accents based off of the countries that people are from, or whatnot. But he would talk about, like the Puerto Rican accent, the Dominican accent, the Venezuelan accent, like all this other like stuff that you don't really get presented with. Most of like the audio voiceover stuff that happens with Spanish happens in Mexico City. People make content and
Oh, like
subtitles and
what
stuff
you
like that.
hear. So, like, if
Yeah,
I'm listening to Spanish, I'm most likely hearing Mexico City
yeah,
Spanish.
yeah, yeah. You're hearing
Okay.
what they call neutral Spanish, which is
Okay.
mostly stuff that sounds like Mexican Spanish and Colombian Spanish, because those are thought of having like the closest to neutral natural accent, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
which is like another thing in and of itself, um, that I could talk about for hours. But so like this guy was talking about like these different, like he was given like the different flavors of Spanish, and I was like, that's cool. I want to like incorporate some of that, because that's basically what I'm gonna try to do with my thing. Is I want to talk about some of the different flavors of English, like specifically my version of English. So that's sort of how it came about. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then it kind of like spiraled from there. I got to talking about a few other subjects, and yeah, like now I'm making videos about like why you should listen to women and not the dudes that are telling you that women don't like dad bods.
Content. Content.
Yeah,
So I've had this vision of like somebody. It never occur. A lot of things that never occurred to me. I loved living in New York City because like I would run into someone who like is it like somebody who speaks Spanish from like Vietnam. You're like, wait, I never thought of that as a combination of
yeah,
person. But like the idea of someone who speaks Spanish natively, trying to learn English, and then running into someone who speaks AAVE as their like preferred language, not having the tools to understand that person is like fabulously interesting. I'm imagining like us. Would you want a Spanish textbook or an English textbook in another country to have like a section dedicated to AAVE? Is that like a vision of
yeah.
yours, or what does that look like
That
to you?
that would be excellent. Like just with like a few videos ago, I said something like language doesn't belong to the books that purport to teach it. It belongs to the people that speak it. Because that is truly like but a lot of people get really like caught up in this idea that there's a standard that exists and everything has to adhere to that
Right.
standard, and anything that isn't is wrong. But that's just not how language works at all.
Right.
um, so it would be nice if there was something like linguistics related in books that teach English, or whatever language you're learning. I mean, it's the same thing in Spanish. Like people from
Right.
Spain hate on the people from Andalusia, because they speak Spanish like non-standardly, or their accent is different to them. So it's the same sort of discrimination. It happens in like loads of different languages. But like if there was something like a section on African American English, for example, that says, hey, this is something that exists, there's nothing wrong with it. This is, some of these things are different from the, grammar that we are teaching you as, in this textbook as whatever the standard or general, like, accepted grammar is, but that doesn't make it not valid.
Yeah.
There's one language school, so like it also happens to be like the online language school that I use to learn Spanish, where they actually do have a
Okay.
section on their website that talks about African American English, and like it, you know, straight up says like, hey, this is here, this exists, this is valid. By the way, don't just try to take this and go using it and trying to mimic it because
Yeah.
people will see that
Yeah.
as cultural appropriation. But yeah, if there was something like that that just kind of gave it some respect, that would do a lot of help, just for everyone.
Yeah, so that's how I found your channel. It's not only like the first couple of things that I ever saw from you were like one of them was the Elmo be eating cookies video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And what that blew me away, right? Because it seems like the general, correct me if I'm getting this right, like the general philosophy of your channel is that um like AAVE is a legitimate language, right? It's not like a second class language. It's a
yeah.
legitimate dialect or a legit. And I loved that Elmo that video. Like I wish I could like link it below or something, but or show it on the screen because it wasn't just that a black child who speaks AAVE actually has more understanding of tense and grammar than a white child of the same age in this specific context.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
B
it's
Elmo
more.
I blew me away. I was like, wait, I want more. Like, I want more tenses. I want more nuance. Like, I want more ways to express myself. And I was like, I was like, it. I never heard a breakdown like that before. Of like, this entire dialect has a separate, like, it has its own consistent grammar. It has its own consistent rules, and it has these nuances. And like, the way that I was taught in the stupid prep schools was that like there was like real English, and then there were these other like kind of like your classic Spanish from Mexico City, or like your normal Spanish. I was taught that what I spoke was normal, and what
Yeah,
everybody else spoke was like somehow derivative or second class or something. And
yeah.
you're pushing me and 130.8 thousand people,
The
or
point.
whatever it was, 135.8, um, to see that as a legitimate construction. Um,
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, people think they speak standard English or the standard of their language, but the fact of the matter is, nobody speaks standard. Like, no, I
mm,
mean, standard is basically textbook, but like, you know, like you just sound like the people that you grew up around, the people that were in your life, that currently are in your life. Like there is no standard that is naturally spoken by anyone.
right.
If you're gonna write an essay and deliver it, to a group of people, you're gonna be closer to textbook. But you and me talking like we are right now, like we're just, we're not speaking a standard version of English. Like, if it sounds like it's a standard version of English, it's just something that you're used to hearing. That's it.
Yeah. So, like, I guess the thing that makes me think of is all the people who like don't want language to change, like who are grammar police and who like, who download a copy of an email with a high bit rate. Like language is constantly in a process of changing. Like,
Yeah.
is there a role for like gatekeeping elements of language, like, or is it all just should we just free for all it? Uh,
I think okay, so as far as gatekeeping goes, because like it's a subject that comes up a lot with African American
okay.
English, because there's a long history of people basically farming African American culture, for
Right. Right.
profit, and we're still left with that stigma. If I say like Elmo be eating cookies, like people gonna look at me crooked. But
Mm,
if like some random white influencer hops on TikTok and says it, and everybody wants to give them cookies, they get deals from Nabisco and
mm,
the Oreos. Like, oh, that's
yeah.
so cool. Like, hey, do you want to sell these cookies? So we get the stigma, and somebody else gets the profit. So like that's where the gatekeeping comes in. And I get
Yeah.
questions by people like, "Oh, well, what if like we generally want to learn it because we think it's cool and everything?" Like, but I use the example of Scots because Scots kind of went through like a similar thing with African American English, like people like
Scots.
discriminating against
The
people.
la-
Yeah,
is
Scots language.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Is this like Scotch tape? I'm like, okay. Scots, the language,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that
the
like what
language
people say
Scots.
Scottish, or is it a different thing like Gaelic, like Irish to Gaelic is
Okay, so there's the Scottish Gaelic. That's a separate language. And then there's
okay. I did
there's
not know that.
Scottish
Amazing.
English, which is just basically like the English that is spoken in Scotland. And then there's
Okay.
Scots, which is a language which has been a whole language for a long time. Like there were books and poetry, and like there's a long history of people like using Scots, speaking Scots, writing stuff in Scots. It's been there for forever, but like you know England came in doing colonizer things, and you know
Right.
people like basically switched over to English. And there was a lot of discrimination around like the Scots language, and then it got to the point where like people didn't even really think it existed. It was like, oh, you just say these random words or something like that. That's not really Scots. By the way, if you are interested in Scots, there is an excellent influencer you can follow on TikTok. I think her tag is Miss Puny or Miss Punny Penny.
Okay.
But Len Penny, she's also on Twitter, which is huge stuff. But yeah, follow Len Penny. She does Scott's Word of the Day, um, and she does a great,
Sweet. That
yeah,
sounds awesome.
yeah. Like she's legit like one of my favorite accounts on TikTok.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but anyway, so like there was a ton of discrimination for speakers of Scots, people not even believing that it existed. Um, and now that has changed a lot for them. And like there's like a general like level of respect that people have for Scots. It still needs to be better, that bar needs to be higher,
Hmm.
but like someone that wants to learn Scots like and do things in Scots, like an outsider, like someone from America that like wants to learn Scots and like write poetry in Scots and like do all these things with the language. Like there's a level of respect for that exists that
Yeah.
isn't there with African American English. Therefore, like the gate is still like closed. So if we could theoretically someday get like a general level of respect where everybody's like, yes, this is a thing, this is a real thing, don't look down on people that sound this way, it's a legit language. If we could get there, then we could talk about, okay, well, maybe we can like teach this or have people learn this in a way
Mhm.
that is not going to be exploitative like it has always been pretty much. But we're not there yet. So that is a super
Yeah.
long-winded answer to
No,
the
no, I
gate
like
question.
it. It's like a future focused vision of like I don't know, because I still cringe a little every time I hear like even Gen Z. I mean, I don't know, this is a whole other can of worms, but like Gen Z, it seems like Gen Z has blurred the line between AAVE and standard English, and like sometimes like I mean I was a teacher for many years. Like I worked with younger students who like I would watch a white kid say something and I'm just like, wait, what? Like is that? And so part of me is like, there is that good? Is that bad? But part of what I'm hearing you say is like in this historical example of Scots, after there was an appropriate level for respect for it, it could be used in a way that was non-appropriative, exploitative. It kind of reminds me of that. I don't know his handle. I should, but that guy, that white guy that keeps walking around making jokes about like smoke detectors going off in black people's houses,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
like he's poking fun at cultural differences in a way that doesn't feel exploitative or disrespectful. And I don't know, maybe there's an analog there in like translations and with whatever. Um, I every time I hear somebody say it do be that way sometimes. and they're a white person, I just am like, I was uncomfortable even saying that. It's like,
It's like there are, so a native speaker is always going to spot people faking it. I mean, and the
Yes.
thing is, like, there's a rhythm to the language. Like, we don't
Yeah.
just be saying the stuff just to be saying
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We say it in a certain way. There's a certain rhythm with it, and you can tell. And it's like, y'all ain't got the rhythm. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, y'all
Yeah.
using this stuff like way the hell out of context, whatever y'all.
Hmm.
So it's like nails on a chalkboard. When
Oof.
you say it
Yeah.
when you say it wrong. So and then was like, why are you even trying to say, just like, you have a whole language, just use the thing, just say the thing how you would normally say it. I know you don't say it that way. Just say it how you would normally say it. That's cool. Like, yo, like, or come be a part of the community. Like, if you hang out with us, like, if you're like actually in community with us and everything, like, it will seep into you and you will say it right with the proper rhythm and everything. But like,
Yeah.
we can tell you're not doing that because you sound the
Yeah.
way you sound. you know
Exactly.
yeah. And like, another thing that I'll say, in regards to like other people, trying to use it, for, their own gain or whatnot. And you got like Chet Hanks faking like his whole like Jamaican accent. You got, the Woe Vickies of the world out there, like, people using it, to basically profit off of it somehow. Like, those people at the same time, they're not advocating for us. Like, there's no video of Chet Hanks or interview of Chet Hanks saying, oh, well, people that, speak, Jamaican patois or whatever, like, it's fine. It's a valid version of English. You shouldn't discriminate against anybody like that. They're not doing anything that actually helps uplift the language. They're just making a buck off of it,
Yeah.
and like some kid, somewhere in Jamaica, or in the case of like the Woe Vickies and Bad Barbies of the world, like, some like little black girl or whatever, like, can't hold up a picture of like Woe Vicky and be like, well, it's so like they're doing it and like they're not getting discriminated against. It's like, yo, like, they like, that's not like, they're not an example. Like, you can't use her as an example. You can't use Chet Hanks faking his accent as an example of why you shouldn't hate on the language. Like, so until we get that level of respect, like, because they're not respecting it. They're not doing anything to get people to respect it. They're just there to make, a few dollars and bounce. So until we get that level of respect, like, our words need to stay out of out of your mouth.
Mm. Yeah. No, I hear that. I feel like, uh, you've mentioned that to me. This There's the natural transition, right? So you get on the internet and you're talking about languages because you're passionate about language. Like right at the start of this podcast, you were like, I started with language and now I make videos about sexism and racism. And it's like, so somebody who's not you and somebody who's not me is gonna be like, wait, how did you make that leap? But like language is encoding values. Like language is encoding what we think of as important and how we, you can explain this better than me. I don't want to explain this at you, but like it seems to me a natural transition that when you are engaged with the process of studying a language, it's studying its grammar, you're studying its culture and
Yeah,
seeing that culture dragged through the mud or exploited in the case of like accents and like I don't know if I've heard people call this, but like the concept of like digital blackface. I'm sure somebody else said that and I
yeah,
just don't remember who it was. But like I see it on TikTok where like there's this gray area where like okay, I can't say anything in AAVE, but there's a trending sound of a black woman like putting her personality into this video and now I get to like act and dance and like and it just makes me cringe a little and there's part of me that's like, oh, I see that like maybe there's an authentic like cultural exchange and cultural appreciation happening and that's maybe on an individual basis and it's hard to see, but it seems like in so many of these cases on the internet it's just giving us another way of like being proximal to an oppressed class and benefiting from it. Like we yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is in a way. It can be really cringy sometimes as well, seeing people, do the lip sync stuff. Because it's like, dude, are you trying to do an impression of me? Like what? Like the thing that, you're using that sound with, like, doesn't really gel, with, or, the text on the screen doesn't actually gel with that sound the way
Mhm.
that the person that created that sound,
Right,
would use it. It's lacking
right.
something from the actual community that it came from.
Oof, oof. Um, wow. Well, I guess also like it doesn't necessarily have to be the case that they're all. I'm not trying. I'm thinking now as a TikToker for a second and being like, now everyone's gonna think that anytime anyone uses a trending sound with the wrong. It's not. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying there's nuance there with like, I guess the examples that we haven't talked about. Like you've said, I almost wrote it down, but I didn't want the typing sounds to ruin the audio. The like that proximity. You said it before. I'm scrolling through my notes and I can't find where I wrote it. I have too many notes. You've said too many smart things. Um,
I don't think I'm.
but like profiteering from a language, right? It's the process of just there's so many instances of somebody. Did I just lose your audio?
No,
Oh,
my roommate has a call going on in his room, so I just hit the mute button on the mic.
oh, nice. If also maybe the software that we're using will highlight the speakers, but yeah, you'll be saving us time in editing. So there's that. I guess like um I'm trying to think of her name, but I can't. Like the dances that the so many dances on TikTok that like start with a black creator and then they get popularized by a white creator and then that white creator's entire internet career explodes off a dance that they took from somebody else without credit.
Yeah, the Charlie D'Amelio, uh, uh, Jalea Harmon scandal.
Okay,
Yeah,
Julia
because
Harmon's the
like,
original
yeah,
creator.
Jalea made the
Okay.
Renegade dance. Like nobody believed her. They tried to gaslight her, and then it came out, and then like it was weird. Like after it came out, like after everyone like knew unequivocally, they like, yo, Jalea is the creator of this dance. The NBA still reached out to Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae to come do the Renegade dance. Did not invite Jalea. They did like their little
Seriously.
thing, yeah, and then people was like outraged and like tagging it. It's like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you know, Jalea's the originator of this dance. Why did you not invite her? So then they flew her out. It's like as a correction. It's like,
Right.
oh yeah, oh no, we got Jalea. We got, yeah, she's dancing with Addison and Charlie and everything. Um, then there was like the issue on the Tonight Show where they had Addison Rae doing everybody's dances, and a lot of them, were from like Black TikTok, Black TikTok creators. They did not credit the creators of the dances. Like she also, did like a really watered down, not good version of the dances as well. And it's like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like you got all of this. You got all of this from us. We got nothing, you know?
Right.
And like the way the Tonight Show course corrected was like, okay, we're gonna do an episode where we have everybody who had a dance in that show is gonna do the dance, but it was on, like, it was like over a Zoom call or something like that. It was a video feed. Like I'm sure
Oh, they didn't even
every
fire
single one of
him.
those creators would
Yeah.
have loved to have gotten the ticket out to New York, just like Addison did, to be
Right.
on stage with Jimmy Fallon, like doing their actual dance in front of like loads of people. Um, so it's like even when the correction happens, like it's a crap correction that like, and then they just go back into obscurity. Like meanwhile, the person who like, and it's not Addison Rae's fault. It's not Charlie D'Amelio's fault specifically. They got like, if you invite me to something, like that's a big chance for me. That's a big payday for me. Like I'm gonna say yes to it.
Yeah.
Um, Like it would have been nice to have seen them say, "Hey, credit these people." Like I don't know what the conversation looked like in the green room. Like, hey, like actually I didn't make this dance, but
Mm,
there it doesn't. It's quite clear that there is like not even an afterthought to where this stuff is coming from.
right. I think that point about how we like the incentive structures are not lined up to like for social change. Like the way that it works is like at winner take all markets and like everybody wants to make a buck and like that's the world that we live in. And so it's like there's how do you change those structures? I mean, it was not that we can answer this in like with our microphones and cameras, but like it's such a when people talk about structural change, like we need structural change because every individual operating in this system is going to want to be a digital colonizer for the last because it's well we it's
Yeah,
what's how
the
it's
app
does,
encourages it. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, TikTok, for the most part, is a lot of people just recycling something over and over and over again.
Mhm.
You see that with the sounds, or you see that with people, stitching, other people's videos. Everybody's got a take on, what somebody like randomly said. It's a lot of recycling. There's not tons of original stuff, and if something original does happen that takes off, then there are people that will just copy that, like it just straight up 100% copy it, like costume for costume, like do the same
Yeah, that's
stance and
so oh
everything,
man.
and like the algorithm will reward you for that, like Jalea's doing, the Renegade, like the originator of it, doing it better than everybody else can, but like it's going to award, someone else with the views for that dance and ultimately the fame for that
Mhm.
dance.
Oof, it's like so I've reached you've said so many things that have made me want to turn around and grab books from the bookshelf, so I will have to stop resisting the urge at this point. Um, the first one that I'm thinking of is uh, Kimberly Jones mentions this all the time. She says black girls are the architects of cool. Like so many of the things that we think of as cool in society originate and then are
Yeah.
stolen and then appropriated to the point. And it's like the I think you and I, this Kimberly Jones also talks a lot about the wealth gap. Um, and for your readers specifically, actually, since we're talking about um, AAVE, I went to a press event with Kimberly Jones when she released this book, I'm Not Dying with You Tonight. It's a young adult book. It's out of focus. It's a young adult book, um, and the hero is named Lena. And in her press event, Kimberly Jones said that she made the deliberate choice that Lena never code switches. The
Mm,
entire book, Lena stays in AAVE, and she's the protagonist. She's a badass. She's the one that saves the
nice.
day. It's based on um, there was a story that following there was a Black Lives Matter protest and there were a bunch of students that were trapped on a school bus behind the police line. It was a real story that was the inspiration for this book. This is co-written by Kimberly Jones and Julie Siegel. Um, Julie Siegel, I think, is pronounced. Like doing a fictional treatment of those students, like what would it have been like to be a student, and it's very on the nose. Like there's the white character and there's the black character. The white girl has no street smarts and she's getting totally chewed up by this chaotic environment, and Lena is like a badass Avengers hero and like saves the day with like knowing who to go to and how to move through the streets, and like she's the badass. And like Kimberly, I don't have her merch but I want to. She has a shirt that says hood girls can be heroes too.
Oh, I gotta get that shirt now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good one. And now that
Yeah.
we we should try to get her on for one of the episodes because I bet she's in another league, right? She's been interviewed on like the morning show and whatever. Like, she's probably not gonna have time for a little podcast, but I know you would tell me that's wrong and dream big and yada yada yada. Um, but the reason I'm bringing out all these books is like we think of redlining as something that happened in the past, like it's over. like, oh, banks can't discriminate based on your race anymore. But like in the era of the attention economy, in the era of influencer marketing, right? Followers are real
Mm.
estate, right? Digital real estate is the world, and so we've moved. When we have it's like, oh, it's just a TikTok dance. You just stole a TikTok dance. Yeah, you stole a TikTok dance, but you stole digital real estate, and you profited from it, and you prevented somebody else from being able to profit from it as well. Like we have just transitioned the forms of one of the forms of discrimination from like a banking system to an attention system, which ends up having the same effect because there's money associated with the followers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you even see that still, like, so there's the follow, there's like the thing where like we're not getting, the credit that we deserve for creating the content or like, but there's also with the brand deals. I mean, because let's face it, like
yes.
when you get a bunch of followers, you should be like at least expecting to, like get something for it, like some sort of like income revenue coming in for that. But like you see people with like huge accounts, like Nick Marina, like was talking about how she has to beg for like all of the press boxes that she gets. She's got like 1.6 million followers or something like that. Makes a ton of
Wow.
like videos about like Marvel shows and stuff like that. Makes a lot of Marvel shows because like let's be real, Phase 4 has not been the greatest of things. But like,
That's a whole other podcast. You and I are
yeah,
going to do a whole other
yeah.
podcast about it.
But like she makes like those shows like really entertaining because she'll do like a bunch of skits based
Yeah.
off of like stuff that happens in those shows, and like it'll be like super fun. It will make me look forward to watching like the newest episode of whatever just came out because like, oh, I want to see what Nick makes a sketch about now. The other there's like another creator, Nigerian girl, but like same thing. She's got like I don't even know how many followers she has now. She might have crossed a million, but like she was close to a million, and she was talking about, yo, like I'm not getting anything. I have this huge audience. I'm getting, she's got hundreds of thousands of views on every single video, getting millions upon millions of views like every single month. Keith Lee is another one. Dude gets like millions of views, like an average of like 30 million views or something like that every single month. Like, I would love to do those numbers, and like nothing from advertisers, crickets. Have to beg to get anything. Meanwhile, I've seen people, with like 30,000 followers talking about like different brand deals or user generated content and stuff like that that they're getting. Obviously these people, do not have the same skin tone that the
Yeah.
people that I have just mentioned have. And it's like, yo, how is it that we have these huge audiences, that we've developed, these niches and everything, that we're getting all of you. We have done everything right. We have ticked every single box. But like we can't get $1 from that. But like you're writing BuzzFeed, articles and stories about like some random like, white influencer that has not even a third of our audience, who's got a viral video, but the viral video is like, maybe 60,000 views. Like, it's like I put out a video that had like that got like 700,000 views on it. It's not even like my most viewed videos. Nobody
Mhm.
wrote an article about me. Like, nobody mentioned me anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
nobody came to me and was like, hey, would you like to do some sort of like sponsored content and nothing like that. The first brand deal I ever got offered, which was from a language learning platform, um,
Hmm.
it was when like my most viral video ever was like getting like tons of views and like a lot of buzz,
Hmm.
and they offered me $10 and five
Wow.
compliment five 1 year subscriptions to the application.
Does your landlord accept complimentary year-long language learning
My landlord
subscriptions?
does not
Or does
accept that. No, no, no. If I could pay my rent in clout, I would be staying at a much better place. You know, if I could pay my rent and exposures, like, hey man, check this out. This is what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna get you like guaranteed like 5,000 views. If it really pops, you might get like 20, 30,000. Like, yo, I'm gonna keep on tagging you in all of my videos. I'm gonna wear, I'm gonna wear your shirt.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't
wow.
pay my rent with clout, man. Like I can't, and it's like I like doing this. I like doing this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's a part. Like I'm not just gonna stop doing it because I'm not, making anything
Yeah.
from it. But it would be nice, especially watching other people who have less, who are not doing like anything original. Like, one of another one of my favorite creators, this guy, like Tales of Garnham, I think is the name. Like, dude created like this whole show, like original content show, made his own lore for this thing. It's like where he's got like different characters and everything, and it's this different like fantasy universe. He's doing magic. He's doing like all kinds of just crazy, ridiculous stuff,
Wait,
like on
like
TikTok.
magic or magic? Like
No, no, no. Like it's this.
Magic the
He created like
Gathering?
this fantasy. No, no.
Oh, okay.
Just like fantasy world sort of thing,
Got
where
it, got it,
like
got
where
it.
like
Okay.
there are witches and wizards and everything. But like he made this whole thing. Like he gets like maybe like 3,000 views like on one of those videos if he's lucky, and like but you see people that have recycled a sound
Yeah.
that, that get millions of views, and it's like, dude, what, how is we're out here literally making stuff that did not exist before, and we're not
Right.
getting nothing from it.
Right. And and the money doesn't follow, like I don't know. I think there's a we were talking about TikTok Pulse the other day. I sent you a screenshot. I made like, all $27 or something from TikTok. But like they I don't
I
know, I'm
made
seeing this
1 cent.
Ugh,
Yep.
TikTok.
I
Our
screenshot
followings are
it.
the same size. There's one difference. Look at the screen. There's one difference between us. Why? That's a.
I made 1 penny in the month of December. That was the month that I saw there that you said, and I uploaded more videos that month than I have in like any other like single month. I think I uploaded something like 14 videos. Some of them involved that so like this object that you can see right here. Like I am
Yeah.
part of the TikTok Cool Kids Club,
Yeah.
the creator program. So like they sent me the advent calendar that had 30 different little gifts in it, like for the entire month of December. It's like, should I like, how am I in this program getting sent stuff from TikTok? Well, I think I've got TikTok hoodies and like other TikTok stuff that they have sent for me. Like, how am I like one of these creators that y'all have singled out?
Yeah.
How am I going to like random Zoom calls with like actual like TikTok people like that are centered around like getting like your content seen and all that stuff, but like I'm not getting any views. Like, what? There's a disconnect there. Like, what is happening?
Ugh. Or even views like dollars. I mean, I don't know, man. It seems like the I have to try not to be jaded. Brian Stevenson says to have hope, and I try to listen to him. Like it's a digital version of you're familiar with the cropping algorithm on Twitter. They just brought it back,
Oh
so it
yeah,
was like
yeah, yeah,
trending. So
yeah.
like they showed a photo of Obama next to George Bush, and like the cropping algorithm, the photo's too wide, so it has to pick a square to put on, and it's like always picking the white person. Like the this is how we met because I was making content about like digital discrimination. I think I don't know. It's been years, but like the making content about digital discrimination. It's like it seems like people get so obsessed with a new technology because they think a new technology is going to save us, and like most of the time, a lot of the time, that new technology ends up being one more way to exploit, one more way
Yeah.
to extract from a community. And like I use the phrase like digital colonialism or like digital redlining. And it's not necessarily it's not unintentional because it's similar elements, right? Instead of extracting resources from a community's like land, you're extracting resources from their creativity, from their culture. Like it's like proximity to hood culture is like a badge of honor on this algorithm, and
I
it's
wouldn't call
something
it
that
hood
gets.
culture. Just say black culture, not hood
That's a
culture.
better way to say it. As soon as I said it, I was like, that's I'm quoting the wrong thing. Like, but proximity to black culture is like a badge of honor that like I don't know. It's
People try to treat it like a badge of honor. Like if you are a part of Black TikTok, like, like we do not see, like we see people treating it as if it's something big, but it's like it's not. Like like we don't want to see how well you know us. We want you to respect us. Like that's it.
yeah.
Like that's the bottom line. We are literally asking for like just the lowest rung on the
Yeah.
ladder. Like if we can get that, like we can do some more stuff. Like can we just get some respect over here?
Yeah. Um, which like would look like dollars, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like
Yeah. As far as building an audience and everything, like yeah, we should be getting more attention from like different brands, marketers, whatever. Like just in general, like there's clearly a disconnect. Like like I subscribe to I can't say the actual name of the company because I don't want this to be dismonetized, but like I subscribe to FY what is it FYPM, the brand that talks about like what creators are getting paid and everything like
oh, okay.
that. Yeah, it's like Clara for creators, but with a much more creative name.
Cool.
Um, but and I see they often show creators like or basically they have a report of different creators reviewing different brands they've worked with, what they got paid, if it was a good experience working with them and everything. So like I see what
Yeah.
other influencers are getting paid, especially influencers that have a much smaller audience than I do, like, and I'm not getting anything. Like I'm getting crickets. Like the only stuff that comes into my inbox is like, oh hey, come join our platform. We have the potential for you to get some brand deals. Or hey, would you like to review this, facial cream? And I'm like, dude, like, have you seen my content? I'm basically just getting mass email stuff of somebody scraping TikTok saying, oh okay, these creators have this many followers, whatever. Let's send this email and we'll see if we can get them to make a free video. You know,
Mm.
like I've done, I think a total of three different like brand deals. Like two of them, no, one of them paid me. It wasn't a lot, but like one of them actually paid me money. And the other two paid me in product, but I had to use the product in the video. So it's like I can't even enjoy the product because I'm like,
Yeah.
doing a whole spiel about me using the product for the video.
Yeah. Woof. Ugh. All right. Well, I gotta get on F. Dot Y. Dot P. Dot M creators or whatever. I want to learn some stuff.
Yeah, I'll
Um.
see if I can pop it up on Instagram and show it on the screen. I think I've told
Ooh.
you about them before.
Fancy us. Screen sharing.
Oh no,
Um.
I'm just gonna
Oh,
do
I
this.
love it. Even better.
Yeah, we're just gonna low tech it.
Nice.
Okay, I think it's focused now. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
um, and it's where like you have to, in order to become a member, you have to review like a brand. So like, and then they verify your account and everything like that. It's like, oh, okay, like we see that, like, we see that you did this brand, whatever. You've got this following. Like, I mean, it's not like super hard to get in there, um, but you have to have done at least like one brand deal or been offered a brand deal.
Yeah. For even for $10 and 3 years of credits. Um.
No, one year,
Oh, it was only
and
one.
yeah, so
My bad.
it was 5 1 year subscriptions, 5 1 year
Uh,
paid subscriptions. So it was like it was a free
what?
language learning app that has like a pay thing. It was not Duolingo, by the way, for the people
Yeah.
like
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I won't say who it was, but it was not Duolingo. But like it's a free app for language
Yeah.
learners that has like a premium thing that you can get. So like they offered me 5 1 year premium
To like
subscriptions
share with other people.
at
They're
ten
basically
dollars.
giving you labor to give
Yeah,
other people on the platform
yeah,
as a
yeah.
form
Because
of.
I think they were gonna
Uh,
like expect me to say, hey, you can like do this, this, and this, and like we'll do a contest and I'll give away 5 free subscriptions.
Ridiculous. Oh, okay. Ridiculous. Well, so we have covered, I mean, we covered a lot of things. We've learned a little bit about like language acquisition and like culture and language, um, brand deals. Do you have, I guess one question we haven't talked about is like how, what, well, you could dealer's choice. What are you reading and like how do you create content? Um,
Okay. What do we want to talk about first? What am I reading, or how do I create content? Okay, we'll go with what I'm reading. We'll go with what I just read because there's a couple books still fresh in my mind.
okay.
So one, like in the same vein of the whole African American English thing, I finished reading a couple weeks ago. Tristan Strong punches a hole in the world. Um, so Tristan Strong
The
is
title.
a series here. Let me make sure I'm getting the name of the series correct real quickly. Let me pop open the Audible. It was Tristan Strong punches a hole in the sky, not in the world, in the sky.
I think
Tristan
yours
Strong,
is better, but
yeah,
Sky's cool too. We'll go with it.
yeah. So it's actually it's a series of books. There are 3 books in the series. But so the reason I read it, and it's for like young adult, sort of, maybe
Hmm.
just like slightly below young adult. But the reason I read it and the reason I found out about it was because I made a video about the story of Anansi, and how like a lot of people don't know, like a lot of people outside of like the black community and even within the black community, a lot of people don't know like about Anansi, the god of stories. So
Yeah, me too. I'm one of those people that doesn't know about that.
well, Anansi is the god of stories. Like basically, when the world was young, there were no stories. The sky god Nyame had all the stories that he, held for himself, and Anansi the spider, like wanted to tell stories of his great. He wanted to basically have the stories so that he could tell stories of his greatness, everything like that. So he goes up to Nyame and he says, "Okay, well, um, what would the price for these stories be?" And then Yame tells him a ridiculous price, and then Anansi sets off on an adventure that ultimately leads him to becoming the god of stories.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there are a few books that you can get on it. Like I was gonna tell, actually I did there. So if you go to my YouTube channel, What's Good English, you will find a video of me telling the story of Anansi. So you can listen to the whole thing there. I've been meaning to redo that video and like spice it up a little bit more. But yeah, there is a video on my channel where I tell like the entire thing. But anyways, I made a video about that, and somebody on my Instagram I think left me a comment about Tristan Strong.
Hmm.
So I looked it up, and it's basically a story about this kid that ends up like getting transported to like this other universe that's just exclusively populated with like different characters from like black like fables and stories and everything, and he has to try to find Anansi to fix the hole that he punched in the sky, but he's running into characters like Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, John Henry, characters from our folklore. He also speaks African American English. Like it was really awesome, reading through, some stuff that's happening in the book, and like there's like something that happened where he was like fighting some like random creatures that were coming after them, and then like they did something, weird and disgusting, and then like Tristan turns to the creature and he goes, "You nasty." And I was like, that is exactly what I was thinking in that moment. And it's just like boom, right there on the page. And it just made my day. It was like, yeah, this dude said exactly what I would say, exactly how I would say it. So that was beautiful. It was like, it's so refreshing to, have characters that I'm familiar with, that sound like me, that look like me and everything. They say diversity doesn't matter. That's BS. It completely matters.
Yeah.
I had so much more fun with that book. Um, but yeah, I would definitely recommend it, to anyone. Like I said, it's like for, younger adults, but, or young adult or like slightly below young adult, but like it was like a really cool story. And, and there's so many, different like stories, TV shows, stuff like that about people getting transported to the fantasy world and, running
Yeah.
into, different characters from, folk tales and stuff like that, but like all the black ones are missing. And this one was just like, no, no, we only got the black ones here. So like that was amazing.
I hear you. I hear you say I do the same thing. Like, oh, it's just it's just young adult or whatever. I love young adult stories.
Yeah,
Like one of the internet's most famous internet people is John Green, who like exclusively writes young adult. Where he's written some new stuff recently, but like, I find I don't know about you, but like I'm not like literary smart. Like people, like people read. I mean, I'm not about to read like Chaucer. I don't. That's never gonna be me. But like a young adult story is not pretentious, and it doesn't win you over by like having fancy literary shit happening. Like it wins you over because the characters are compelling and the story is
yeah,
compelling and the message is compelling. And
yeah.
like
It's just entertaining.
yeah, and woof, I that's part of. I know I plugged it already, but like this is why I like this book, the I'm Not Dying with You Tonight, because it's just like the story is gripping, and it reads like an action movie half the time. Like
Yeah,
you're
no,
like reading.
I'm definitely gonna grab that. I've got like a couple Audible credits, so one will be spent on that book for sure.
Is there,
Um,
speaking of Audible, do you have? So I want to read Tristan Punches a Hole in the Sky now because I want to learn about Anansi. Do you have like affiliate links that have that information that have them somewhere?
I
Can I buy?
do, I do indeed. So I have a link
Okay,
tree in my bio on the TikTok and on Instagram, and in the description of all of my YouTube videos, there's
yeah.
a link to my link tree, and I've a whole Amazon store that you can go to, and I've got list of books. I've got list of the books that I used for learning Spanish. I got the stuff that I'm
Mhm.
using for learning French there. I've got the community book report books on there, and then I've got like another list that I'm slowly putting together of stuff that I've read and am reading. Like Tristan Strong, I think all three of the Tristan Strong books are in there. I think those are the only books on that list now because I haven't touched that thing since. But yeah, there's a place you can go if you want to support me and my efforts through content creation. Um, yeah, and then actually just finished another book too. So I finished this book called Trust. So this was, I think it was written like last year. I was listening to like some podcast where they were like talking to someone reviewing books from last year, and they liked this book because it's sort of cool. It's like it's hard to talk about because like you could spoil things.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
okay.
but it's basically about like what story ultimately gets told. So it's about it takes place during like before the Great Depression and after like the stock market crash and the Great Depression, like all the way up until like the 70s ish. I think is like where the end of that story is. But it's about like this guy who is basically an heir to a tobacco like a tobacco distributor farm, whatever, and becomes like this, huge Wall Street guy, and his wife, and like ultimately like the story of like how he got to become who he is.
Mm.
But there are like I can't really say more without like
Yeah, this is the vaguest pitch I've ever heard.
yeah,
There's a
like
guy, there's tobacco, it's in the past.
yeah, it's the pitch that worked on me. It's the pitch. So it's about ultimately like what story gets told. Like we know,
Yes, yeah.
for example, like Elon Musk likes for people to believe that his parents did not own a diamond mine, even though they totally owned a diamond mine, and likes to
Right.
have us believe that he came from nothing and he's this incredible like genius businessman, which we clearly know is not a fact. So it's sort of like in that vein.
Mm. Woof. I just got so distracted with all the. I mean, like, and the fact that the money's South African in origin is just like so on the nose. It's like, sir, you. Anyway.
Uh, the story of how they got the diamond mine is interesting as well. Like,
I've never heard it. I didn't even know they were diamond. I knew they was rich from South. I didn't know it was a diamond mine. That's like very
yeah,
on the
so
nose.
like his family was like independently rich from like something else, and then it was. By the way, I know this story from another podcast from Madeline Pendleton's podcast. Pick Me Up, I'm Scared, where like
Okay.
she's a communist. Like she also another one of my favorite people on TikTok. Makes like tons of videos about like punk stuff or like socialism, communism, just like a
She's a
communist.
small
Like
business owner who like has like
yeah,
a
yeah,
crazy colored hair and
yeah,
talks
yeah.
about
That's her.
unions and stuff. Yeah, I love
That's
her. All
her.
her
Yeah,
videos
yeah.
are like so on point. Okay.
Yeah, she's got a podcast where she like researches a topic for a week and then like talks to her friend about it. So they did like an episode on Elon Musk, and they told like the story of how he became like, or
Yeah.
how like their family got the diamond mine. So like basically, like her father or his father was traveling to, I forget what country, whatever, but the flight got diverted or something like that because like something was happening, and they ended up going to some other country to just like wait it out. And there was this group of Italians on the flight, I believe, that owned the diamond mine. Oh, I remember they were trying to sell like an airplane to somebody, whatever. And like the his father got to talking to like the group of Italians that owned the diamond mine. He was like, "Well, I've got like this plane that I'm looking to sell. Actually, do you want to buy the plane?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure. You can have this diamond mine that we have in South Africa that we're not using."
The fuck? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
And now he owns Twitter. His children own Twitter. What the hell, man? Ugh. God, what? All right, we gotta. ah, ridiculous, ridiculous. And he's a genius. I'm sorry. Can we go on an Elon tangent for a bit just because we're here?
yeah. I'm
I
always down for Elon
What the
slander.
hell? Like I was so okay. So I just what I'm amazingly confused by, and what ultimately made me understand his character is like he tried to brand himself as like a green savior through Tesla. He's like, I'm the guy who's gonna save the world. I bought a solar company. He bought Solar City, and he's putting power walls, and he's like making this whole brand around like we're saving the world from climate change. And then with the SpaceX stuff, it was similar. Like we're not saving the world from climate change, but we're just gonna save the future of humanity. And like I don't know. The fact that he just flipped so quickly from like, yeah, I support the future of like, I want to stop the climate change from happening. I'm like running companies that are like super green and clean. And then he just like turned hard right, pivoted into this crazy like far right ecosystem of like climate denial and capitalism and QAnon. I was just like, how did you do that so fast? And I realized that he didn't do it. It was all front. It was like he didn't invent Tesla. He
Yeah,
purchased Tesla. He didn't make up the idea. He just bought the idea from somebody else and like gets
yeah.
to take credit like Charlie D'Amelio on the Tonight Show. We're making callbacks, baby. We're tying the episode together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like as far as like saving the planet with all this green stuff, like electric cars, like yeah, they're great. They don't pollute like gas cars, but like if you really want to save the planet, you need to be thinking about public transportation, not
Right.
people buying a different type of car that requires us to go mine a different scarce resource that has, children digging for cobalt out in Africa.
Yeah.
Like which is another thing of like
Yeah.
why is the Democratic Republic of Congo not an extremely rich country? Like why
Yeah.
are they just not balling? Why are the streets over there not paved in gold? It's because they're just getting exploited for their resources again.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, it's not us buying electric cars that's going to save us. Like, eventually that resource is going to run out, and we're gonna have to do this other stuff. And it's already like the resource that we need for that thing is already super exploitative and hurting tons of people. It's us not getting cars, like individual cars going around places. We need like actual good public transport. Why don't we build some like electric buses and shuttles and stuff like that that move like loads of people into the city? Why do we have food deserts and all that stuff? Why don't we make it easier to move a lot of people rather than a group of like 5 to 7 people max?
Yeah.
In a single transport car that everyone can own. It's like the single transport car that everyone can own is profitable. That's why you in there. Ain't no money in moving lots of people around. You're not gonna get rich off of that, so nobody bothers with it. Even though that's the solution that we need.
Yeah. Which, right. Which, like, and I mean, I haven't thought about this in a while because like, he's been making such a fool of himself in public. I lost faith in him a while ago. Um, but like, I, uh, one of the visions that he sold me on back when I was drinking the Elon Kool-Aid was like, oh, it's not just about the cars, it's about the self-driving fleet. Like we're gonna get the software going, and then you're gonna buy, and it's like you're gonna buy the car, but then the car's gonna be like an autonomous Uber that like moves people around. It's like, okay, one, we you said it was gonna be ready like 3 years ago, and it's not. But two, even if that were the case, like that money is not, where's that money going, right? I mean, that image, I've never thought of this historical comparison before, but like with the World Cup and with Qatar and with the amount of money that has come out of these oil-rich nations, like why are the nations that have the cobalt and the lithium not in the same boat? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that image of like those streets should be paved in gold and they're not. Like it's still ongoing. Like the way that we teach history and the way that we explain colonialism is so fundamentally fucked because we talk about it as if it ended. It just changed forms. Like it just changed forms, there's the digital forms of it happening now, but there's the large scale economic forms of it happening now, and it's like no wonder people are trying to make it illegal to talk about racism because it's like because we were talking about stuff that's happening right now. It's not your racist grandpa, it's like our policies. And to that point of Madeline Pendleton, I want to listen to that podcast. Pick Me Up, I'm Scared is an interesting title, and I love that frame of just like super deep dive, get into a topic, and but like
Yeah, yeah, super entertaining.
we need it's why we run into so many examples of it, even just in the course of this podcast. Of like, of course, Charlie D'Amelio is going to say yes to the Tonight Show. Like, of course, the individual incentive structures are aligned with exploitation. Like, of course, Jeff Bezos is going to lobby, and Starbucks CEOs are going to fight unions, and like, of course, all these people are going to, because the incentive structures are aligned. And it's like, so I think people talk about socialism, people talk about like democratic socialism and like concepts of communism, and they get so scared because they are associated with these other eras of history. But to me, at least, part of the reason we need concepts like that is because it's simply a recognition that the individual incentive structures align with exploitation. What capitalism at its core is about, like the people who are best at exploiting win. And the whole purpose in my mind, the idea of democratic socialism is like we need distributions of wealth in certain sectors of society to work against those forces of exploitation. Like it's not it doesn't get any more complicated than that. Like it's not going to break the free market. Like the free market's already broken. It's already. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like
I'm totally on a high
Madeline,
horse right now. I'm just mad at Elon.
Madeline also has a really good video about the free market where and like it made so much. She was like, everybody says, "Oh, let the market decide," but like,
Mm.
so one of the things, for example, with our current market that you absolutely need if you're trying to start a business on your own is like advertising. Like, how are you going to tell people to like get your stuff? So like, she makes clothes, right? Like, she can make better clothes than like some other kind of like she can make better clothes than what you can get at the Target or the Walmart or whatever, you know. But she doesn't have Walmart money to negotiate with the manufacturers, like
Yeah.
she can't get those prices down to the price to the Walmart prices. So it's okay, well, you got to pay more, but I can't
Yeah.
make like super she can't make super good stuff because that's going to cost more for the materials that she has to source, you know.
Mm.
And then it's like, okay, well, like now I have this thing, but like now I have to either pay for advertising or I have to become some sort of social media account personality that talks about my thing to get my word out there. Because otherwise, how are
Mm.
people going to know to buy it, or why should they, or convince them to like buy a $70 shirt when they can go get the $20 shirt from Walmart? You know, it's like, and then you've got the whole thing, well, where, if Walmart does a whole bunch of bad stuff, the government bails out Walmart. It doesn't let
Yeah.
Walmart just, go into obscurity and people like, oh, wow, you actually make really good shirts. Like, no, the government takes care of Walmart. Like, the free market is not like this, it's not this beautiful functioning thing that people envisioned on paper. Like,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Ugh. It is. That is. Eh. It's like we talk about welfare. I mean the trope of like the welfare queen, which is this broken history of all these things, but like Walmart is the biggest one. Like their workers are being subsidized. Like they, I thought about a tangent. I thought about a teaser to our next episode of this podcast, which is gonna be
Yeah,
on Some
I
of
got
Us
a
by
lot of
Heather
stuff. I got some stuff
McGhee.
ready for this in the chamber.
we
Like, yeah, I was ready to talk about some Finland stuff and why.
yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I got some bombs to drop for that one.
I do too. Obviously I don't want team sticky, but I put all these vertical ones on the top for podcast specific conversations. Um, but that like yeah, we I guess to put it in words and do a little teaser for the next episode. Like w- part of what the role of government is like taking care of people, and we're constantly tearing like Republicans now, Republicans over time, and white people generally construed are constantly voting against things that would help them because they feel like I don't want to get into it. That's a whole other thing. This book is really good. We have already made content about it, which you can find, and we'll probably put. I don't know. We didn't talk about this, but like we'll probably put some of that content on this YouTube channel because it already exists. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
sweet. Um, well, okay. I One of the things that we ask all of our guests on this podcast. I don't even have a question. I just wanted to do the bit. I was like, what is something you recommend? I was like going through all the stuff. Like John Favreau asks people like, what do they do to unplug? I was like, what advice would you have for your younger self? Is one that I've been thinking about. Or like I don't know. I'm just we're gonna be constantly talking about what books we're reading. Um, what what advice would you have for your younger self? I hate this question. I want a different question.
I don't know what advice I would have. Like, yo, just okay, okay. What I would tell my younger self is like something that I know now, which is you should just do the thing. Just do whatever it is that you've been
Mm,
contemplating doing that you want to do, but you're not sure if you should do or how people will think about you. You should just do that thing. Just do
mm,
that thing,
yeah.
and you'll get better at it. It will either work or it won't, but like it'll never happen if you don't do it.
I feel like you're saying that to me. That's not to your younger self. You're saying that. Are you saying that
I
to
mean,
you?
I've said that to you, but
I
like
know.
I've like it's
Uh,
something that I came to the realization that I wish I
yeah.
had as my younger self as well. You know, it's not just as far as like a content creation thing. It could be as like,
Yeah.
yo, you should just like ask that girl out thing.
Yeah.
You know, it could be like, yo, you should like go take that class sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it can go, it goes with anything. It should just wear that outfit, even, you know.
Mm.
Um, like either it's gonna work or it's not gonna work, but then you don't have to question. You don't have to, you know, sit back like in your chair like decades later, like, you know, I wonder what would have happened if I'd have done that. Like all that's
Yeah.
gone.
Woof. Yeah. Well, we're doing the thing. Um, I I don't know whether we put this in public, but part of me is like, this is the community book report where half-assing things is better than no assing it, or zero.
No, it's 100%. No, we should put that in public. You know, half-ass is better than no ass. Half-ass is better than it not getting done.
I wrote it down.
100%.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to find the place where I wrote it down, but I like sometimes when I have brand new ideas that I like want to enter. No, I did. It's right here. We just can't show what's on the rest of the page. I literally wrote HA is greater than or NA. HA or NA, and then
Yeah.
is other forms it's written with
Well,
with an
you never
inequality.
know what will come from it too. Like, you know, how many videos of yours have you made where you just like kind of half-assed it, didn't think it would go anywhere, and then it just like got way more views than expected, or just something that turned out way better, like
Yeah.
or had better results than you thought that you were gonna get because you were just kind of half-assing it just to get it done.
Yeah.
Half-assing shit works. Like, don't half-ass it if you have time. But you know, if like if you just need to get something done and the best you can do is half-assing it, just do that. Do that. You don't know what will happen.
Oof. Oof. It's true. It's true. One of my first videos that popped up above 500K. I was just like, I'm just going to talk about this book that I read that I really like. You know, um, I obviously spent like 17 hours reading the book and writing meticulous notes, so it wasn't. I did have to half-ass it. It wasn't zero anyway. All right. Uh, one thing we didn't do is like podcasts have like recorded things or like, intros and whatever. We don't have music picked out. We know that we'll figure that out. But part of me was like, this is the community book report. I'm Charlie. If that makes sense to me.
I am EK Powell. What's good English?
Sweet. Thanks everybody for listening. Do you have anything else we want to cover before we do? We just crossed over an hour 15, so I think we're good with.
Hey, yeah, stuff with watch time. Yeah, I
Hey,
got nothing else. Yeah.
watch time. Hashtag watch time. I hate myself for saying that. Okay. Great. If you're still here, amazing. Thank you for listening. This is going to be the first. We cannot be public about everything that we have going because some of the stuff is not ready. But I've been in conversation with multiple professors and multiple authors, and we're going to have
Ooh.
some amazing guests coming on the show over the next couple of months. One of the books just arrived in the mail. So we won't just be talking with each other. We'll be pulling experts and authors to interact with as time goes on. You'll also be, I don't want to announce the other name yet, but we will also be hearing from other TikTok creators. We'll be getting other TikTok creators on here as well, some of your favorites to hang out with and chat with. So if you haven't subscribed, do that. If you haven't hit the follow, do that.
We
Check
will
out
improve. The
EK's.
show will improve.
It will. That's how it works. And if you haven't bought any of these books that we recommended, you can do that at EK's Amazon affiliate links. We'll put all our info below. And you got anything else? You got any closers, logistics?
Um, no. I think it's good. Yeah, just keep coming back. This is yeah, this was cool. Watch us grow. Watch us improve.
I don't want to
I keep
be.
want to reassure people it's gonna get better.
I know, but like, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to be. I don't want to overpromise. I don't whatever. I got like chills when you said that because like compare your shitty. I'm about to come up on my 2-year TikTok anniversary. It's a couple days. My first video. It's so bad, and I went back and watched my first YouTube video. They're so bad. Like,
Yeah,
I'm.
yeah,
I've now done it twice where I've like uploaded the garbage video and then grown and grown and grown and got better and got the audience, got the followers. You've done it where you upload the garbage videos and get better and better and better. Like
yeah,
this
yeah.
isn't theory. This isn't like theory for us. Like we do this multiple times, and so like yeah, this thank you earnestly to the people that are like here for this first episode. We're gonna get better, and also like I'm very confident about that because we've both done it already.
Yeah,
So
I made a reference to my first garbage video ever in the last YouTube video I uploaded about how to learn languages. Because like, if
hell
you
yeah,
scroll back to the very, very first video I ever uploaded on my channel, it was a super long, badly edited rant about Lingoda, the company that I used
yeah,
to help learn Spanish. It's like an hour long video of me just like sitting in a chair and like kind of nervously talking at this camera with this like ridiculous autofocus. It was horrible. It was a
yes,
horrible. But yeah, I used a clip from that to talk about Lingoda in the current video
mm,
that is much better that I just put out a few days ago.
yeah.
So yeah,
We're
uh,
content creators, man. We learn in public. It's the game.
yeah,
Sweet. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been awesome. Thanks for your time. I'm Charlie. This is the Community Book Report podcast. And we'll be talking with you more soon. Bye,
cool.
everyone.
Adios.